Welcome back to Hour 2 of Gun Sports Radio, where your hosts Dave Stahl, Lance Pelkey, and Michael Schwartz educate you on anything and everything related to our Second Amendment right. Visit gunsportsradio.com with your questions and comments, or to learn how to become a sponsor and or guest of the show. Now here comes Hour 2 of Gun Sports Radio and your hosts Dave, Lance, and Michael.
All right, folks, welcome. This is FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Hey, this hour is sponsored by our good friends at Cali Key. I'm telling you, they are awesome. Drop in a Cali Key into any of your AR-15s or 10s to instantly make it California compliant. For more information, check out Cali Key at calikey.com. That's KALIKEY.com. Hey, at any given moment, situations of self-defense and emergencies can happen to anyone. And unfortunately, the justice system may not be on your side. While you protect your family and property, U.S. Law Shield is here to defend you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year with the most comprehensive self-defense coverage at an affordable price. Bad guys don't take days off, and neither does our coverage. What's your plan after you defend yourself or your family? Consider a plan from U.S. Law Shield. Check them out today at www.uslawshield.com. That's www.uslawshield.com. And make sure you tell them you heard it right here on Gun Sports Radio. All right, hey, this segment is brought to you by the San Diego County gun owners. Go to www.SDCGO.org. Join up, help the fight. The more people get together, we're better as a unit than we are individually. And we've got Joe Drammissi, the blogger, on. What's your topic this week, my friend?
Well, it was, we mentioned last week that I learned a valuable lesson, and that being not to talk about things I haven't written about yet.
Right.
And so I didn't want to make that mistake, because this week is one of the kind of rare weeks that I didn't write something, because Sam the gunman wrote a nice article
Really?
about his trip to D.C. to the Second Amendment rally. So we featured that article here in the past week. So I didn't really write one. So I was thinking about, okay, what to talk about. And, I caught up on a lot of my reloading this weekend, and because I'd kind of fallen behind.
You load your own?
Yeah, I do, because I shoot so much that, it's funny because you'll hear like when we have these incidents and things, and they'll arrest somebody or something, and the news will always say that they had a stockpile is what they call it.
Yeah,
right?
ammunition.
And like I was getting dangerously low, down around 1,900 rounds. Oh, I need to get it pumped back up again.
You got to, make sure you fall into that category.
Well, yeah. So I guess I have a stockpile at home, but my stockpile was low, so I was reloading. And one of the things I do when I reload, though, is that's where I catch up on a lot of my music, because I'll be out all by myself out in the garage. I've got the satellite radio thing on there. And, I'll be listening to Little Steven's Underground Garage or something, and I hear a lot of good songs there, and I usually snag them a little bit later. But heard a really good cover of the old Supreme song, Where Did Our Love Go, by the Jay Giles Band.
Really?
Peter Wolf and Magic Dick. Yeah, I'd never heard that before, and it's great. It's when music was really music.
Yeah, no kidding.
And live makes it better. But anyway, I was doing that. So I was going to talk about the reloading, and then I started thinking, because now I can kind of run free here a bit. Mm-hmm. But Michael and I met for lunch the other day, and we met with a member who was proposing that we come up with. He had an idea of coming up with some. He was describing it, I think, as continuing education kind of training for the CCW stuff. Because, we were, Michael and I and the gun owners here, we do, 7 or 8 of these?
At least 6 a month. Usually more like 7 or 8.
Yeah. And, we're encouraging people to get their concealed carry and everything. And there's a lot to learn with that stuff. And, I went through that process of learning all of the nuts and bolts and all that. And, I probably read a lot more and look at a lot more things than a lot of people do. But, the idea that we should, offer something else, we're encouraging all these people to do this. And I always feel that I have kind of a responsibility when I'm giving these workshops to encourage people to do it correctly. That's why we always talk about the insurance, like U.S. Law Shield and Firearms Policy, or Firearms, what was I want to say?
Legal protection.
There we go. Thank you. And anyway, that's what we always talk about, that kind of stuff. So I think it was a really good idea, and we may look into that. I think we are going to look into doing something like that.
Yeah, you already sent a great write-up. So the continuing education had nothing to do with marksmanship.
No, it was all classroom kind of stuff.
All classroom kind of. It's basically, okay, you have your CCW. Now, how do you stay out of trouble? How do you do it right?
Well, yeah, and even basic things like holsters. Like we talked a little bit about holsters last week, and I wrote an article about that. But that was mainly, we were talking about comparing ugly Kydex holsters to nice, really cool leather holsters. But even, from a CCW point of view, okay, you get your concealed carry, and unless you've done it before, which I'm assuming most people haven't, it's like, okay, you got to start. All right, I need a holster. Well, what kind of holster? I mean, there's inside the waistband holsters, there's outside the waistband holsters. Okay, what's the difference? And all of them have pros and cons, and it just depends. The appendix carry stuff, a lot of guys carry that way. A lot of women carry that way. And with men, you'll see, thinner guys like Warren, I think, does that. And, I don't. It's probably nobody in this room is going to be doing it.
Yeah, not me.
But no, just some information on that kind of stuff, the pros and cons of those things, what's good and bad, say, about inside the waistband versus outside. I'm
actually a really good example of how, one man's junk is another man's treasure when it comes to holsters, because you've heard of the urban carry. If you haven't heard of the urban carry, it's like this leather. It's like two pieces of leather sewn together, and then the holster actually sits on your thigh. It goes actually below your waistline, so it's not actually in your waistline. A lot of people just think it's horrible. In fact, John Carrillo, who I respect very much, he trashed it on his YouTube channel. Said it was horrible. I love it. I absolutely love it. It works for me perfectly. You have to train with it. You have to break it in. But yeah,
is it under your pants?
Yeah. It's inside. Yeah, it's in your pants, and it folds over your belt, but it actually sits on your thigh.
So it drops down a few inches. So you have to pull it way up in order to draw it. But yeah, and you have to practice with it. You have to break it in, kind of like a baseball glove. You got it, because it's But
well, and everybody's a little different too, and it depends on the kind of like how you have to be dressed. What do you do for work? Like a lot of when I'm teaching, I'm wearing a sport coat a lot now because I've discovered that if I wear a sport coat, I can get away with jeans and a T-shirt, and I throw the sport coat on there and it works. But because I could dress like that, an outside the waistband holster works very well.
Yeah.
And now I'm using the leather ones, and aside from being a little more comfortable, the draw is a lot quicker. It's a lot easier than something that's tucked inside my waistband.
See, I would think the one that you like would be kind of challenging if you were in a big hurry to get it out.
You have to practice with it. So if you look on the internet, if you go on YouTube and type in urban carry, you're going to pull up about a half a dozen videos where guys get it out of the box, they try it for the first time, and they trash it and they hate it. But what you have to do, it took me a month to break it in. And so, really? But now that's all I want.
Yeah, and that's true.
Have you ever used that, Lance?
I don't use it. No.
What do you do outside?
I carry a 43 in a Kydex holster, semi-holster.
An ugly Kydex holster.
In my pocket.
Oh, in your pocket?
In my pocket.
Versus hanging it on a belt or anything like that.
Like right now.
Interesting.
Yeah. Works great. So.
And I think that it just proves your point, Joe. We've got three different people that have three different ways of carrying a firearm.
Yeah, and I think what we were talking about with the continuing education is just introducing to people, okay, here's some sources. This is where you could look. We were even talking about the videos, which I think is another great idea. Just a quick 8-10 minute video on holsters.
Sure.
Or like on belts. That's another thing that you wouldn't necessarily think of. I mean, you could use your normal everyday belt. It'll work. But if you put on a belt that's designed to actually hold and support your gun, it's much different. It's a lot better. But I mean, people would know. Where do you look? What do you look for?
I mean,
and so I think just putting out some information like that.
Yeah, so guys like Joe who like sink their teeth into this stuff and make the mistakes first, for everybody. Get that information out to people. Like, hey, all right, I've had my CCW for a year or 2 years or whatever. Now, where do I get the resources to, how do I carry? Where do I carry? That sort of thing. But yeah, Joe changed my life. He told me to buy a better belt. And I bought a belt with a steel core in it, so it's got a thin piece of steel running down the center of it. It's a nice thick leather belt, and you can't tell it from anything else. But changed my my whole deal, my whole day.
That's awesome. All right, hey, we're going to take a quick break. Don't worry, folks. We got tons more to talk about. In fact, we got Dwayne McBride on the line, the National Sales Manager at U.S. Law Shield and former Navy Corpsman. So stick around, folks. We got more for you right here on Gun Sports Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Welcome back. You listen to Gun Sports Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Hey, for those of us in California, lawful AR ownership is increasingly under attack. California's assault weapon laws make it impossible to legally keep your AR rifle with the features it was born with. What's the solution? It's Cali Key. The Cali Key removes your rifle from the definition of an assault weapon by converting any mil-spec direct impingement AR platform rifle into a straight pull bolt action rifle. It's a true drop-in solution in less than a couple of minutes. You are good to go. No milling, no aesthetic modifications, and no turning off your gas systems either. Keep your entire AR collection intact at a price you can afford with Cali Key. We love those guys. Check out Cali Key at calikey.com. That's KALIKEY.com. Hey, you want to get a little construction done around your house and done right? From a beautiful kitchen remodel, room addition, or maybe build the whole house. TDT Construction does it all. TDT Construction is a local family-run business that you can trust with your construction needs. Don't overpay. Call TDT Construction today at 619-448-2353. That's tdbuilding.com. That's tdtbuild.com, and they are A+ rated with the BBB. Hey, are you looking for a private individual CCW training class tailored to you? Well, John Groff has been providing individual CCW training classes for first-timers and people renewing their permits for many years. A retired San Diego County Police Sheriff, John can arrange a time to fit your schedule and affordable pricing. Look for a calming and caring demeanor. Then call John Groff at 619-933-4368. 619-933-4368. That's 619-933-4368. All right. Now we've got Dwayne McBride on the line.
Yeah.
Yep. Dwayne's on the line. And, we were talking earlier before the show started about, what to do after the bang and that type of thing. And so we're really fortunate to have Dwayne McBride. Yes, he's a former Navy corpsman, but also to the National Sales Director for U.S. Law Shield. Dwayne, welcome aboard, man. How are you?
Hey, good, guys. Thanks for having me on. I really want to give a shout-out to Gun Sports Radio for having me on tonight. It's a privilege.
Well, the pleasure's all ours. And U.S. Law Shield, you guys do an amazing job with all the education videos and the workshops you do and that type of thing. So thanks for coming on.
Oh, you bet.
And so we were talking a little bit, you and I, about what to do after the bang and how to be prepared and that kind of stuff after you call the cops and everything. So what do you think?
I was listening to the show here prior to me coming on, and a key word was said, and it was train with what you got, and we take so many things into account when we're actually preparing ourselves for a self-defense situation to defend our lives or our loved ones. And one of the things, other than, legal coverage and everything we need, that we always tend to think about, or I should say tend to forget about, is medical training, and that's something that I specialize in. I've been doing it for U.S. Law Shield for quite a while. I actually wrote a book for the company, me and a doctor out of Georgia, Dr. Rick Hemisfar, that's on the board of JSOC for TCCC for many years. And it's something that I really enjoy doing. We go around the country, not only educating people legally and how they can protect their rights and their freedom, but also how they can handle the aftermath and handle any medical situations. Because, usually in a confrontation that involves a gunfight, somebody gets shot. So what are you going to do after that, And that's what I specialize in. And we do a 4-hour course. It's about 3 hours of education based off the book that we wrote, and about an hour to hour and a half of skills. We go around the country and we educate people, our membership, and also other folks that want to come to the class. We go around the country and we do this because it's all about educating people to be, more educated gun owners, to be safe gun owners, and to also just be prepared for everything that's going to happen when those final seconds come down, and you actually have to protect yourself for a level.
And Casey, I mean, absolutely to be ready for that. And what would you suggest the average person should to carry in their gun bag? A tourniquet, Band-Aids. What are you thinking?
Well, actually, we call it a blowout kit on the military side of the house. My background, of course, was a retired military and a contractor as a medic for many, many years. And we use what we call a blowout kit, and it's just a really simple kit. You can even make one out of an M4 magazine pouch. That's how we did it overseas for many, many years in Iraq and Afghanistan. Okay. But you can also purchase them yourself. But you should have at least 2 tourniquets in a kit. You should have some type of hemostatic agent to stop a bleed, wound packing material, a chest seal, and some additional dressing materials. And that should be enough to sustain life until you can get EMS there and get someone to the hospital. See, what a lot of people don't realize is that when you actually are involved in anything, whether it's a negligent discharge of a firearm, whether it's a domestic violence, whether it's a carjacking, it's a home invasion, whatever the case may be, the police have to come in and they have to secure the scene before EMS can come in. So EMS is going to be staged, a couple of miles away, waiting for dispatch to clear them to come into the scene and to treat someone medically. Well, let's face it, if you have a dissection of a main artery, like a femoral artery or a brachial artery in your arm or in your leg with a femoral artery during an incident with a gun, you can bleed out in 3 minutes. So are you prepared to handle that on-the-scene trauma care for 3 minutes to sustain life for yourself or a loved one until EMS can get to you and get you to the hospital where you need to be, which is on the OR table being treated by a doctor.
That's a very, very good point, because a lot of us don't, really think about that. We think about getting, training with a firearm, or maybe how to train for a CCW, maybe the laws after that or whatever. But, that's a really good point about the EMS is not going to be there for good, 5 to 15 minutes plus. And, even, if it's a bad guy or whatever the case may be, I think, we all got to do what we can to sustain life.
Absolutely. And, this training will work outside of just even, stuff involving guns. Maybe your child falls out of a tree in the backyard and, actually fractures their femur and dissects a femoral artery. I've already had people that have actually taken our class that have gone forth and actually saved their own lives from the training we've given them over the last 2 years. So it has paid off for us. And, it's great to get out and educate folks. You were talking earlier about training, and I can't overemphasize that. Even you were talking about the different types of ways to carry. You had 3 people there talking about 3 different types of different ways to carry your firearm. If you don't train with the way you carry, you will never index that pistol and get it into the gunfight and actually come out at the end. You have to train. If you're not out shooting at least every month, you're wrong if you carry a gun. It's a tool, and if you don't learn how to use the tool, you're going to fail yourself when the time comes. So, that goes with medical training as well. I'm going to get with Frank, and I want to come out there, and I actually want to get with San Diego gun owners out there and come out there and teach you guys a class, so we're going to work that out. I'm going to get with Frank to get up with you guys out there, and we're going to come out and train you folks up. So.
That's awesome. Frank's the best. We're going to have a wide variety of accents in that room. I can already tell with you and Frank.
Well, we'll be able to tell them apart.
All the same team fighting for a Second Amendment rights. Is that all right?
Yeah. Dwayne, I just wanted to say, too, all the things that you just talked about, like the CAT tourniquets and the hemostatic products and the chest seal, stuff like that, really, we were actually just talking about this on the way up to the studio. These products, technology has advanced so much just in the last, 5-10 years. These products are available. Like, you can find them in Walmart these days. They're not specialized medical products anymore, but you got to know how to use them. I mean, it's only been around for, I'd say, in common use, for what, 5, maybe 10 years?
Yeah, absolutely. The military didn't even get everybody fully trained up on tactical combat casualty care, TCCC, until like 2007, guys. Everybody that put boots on ground overseas were trained up. But let me tell you, guys, it changed our whole world in the combat zone, okay, meaning that we went to a 93% save rate.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And this wasn't being done by medics. You got to understand, medics did their part. But most of the lives saved in Iraq and Afghanistan were from the guys to your left and to your right. That were all trained on how to react in those situations and put a tourniquet on, or to pack a wound, or to put a chest seal on, and then the medic got to you. You think about it. If you're under fire and you got one corpsman to a platoon of Marines, that corpsman might have to work through 200 yards of open fire to get to someone. That could take time. So that's actually what changed the whole. It just changed the whole game on how we were actually saving lives on the battlefield. Now we're going out, we're teaching this to the civilian sector, and because it needs to be taught, it needs to be learned. And I call it idiot medicine, because it really is. It's really simple. Anybody can do it. And within 3 hours, I can train folks how to use every tool they need and be proficient in it to save a life when it comes.
And it's really improved things. And unfortunately, it took Afghanistan and Iraq to develop the technology that works. And I had a friend of mine just about a year ago say, hey, it seems like there are a lot of people missing limbs in this war. Why do you think that is? And I said, well, because in previous wars, they probably wouldn't have been walking around.
Right.
It's because of this type of training and product that's
what a great topic.
Yeah, great. Dwayne, thank you very much for taking time out of your Sunday. We can't wait to get you in San Diego and do some training. It'll be awesome.
Sounds good. Thank y'all for having me on. And man, I love what y'all do. Keep educating folks and keep the 2A Army strong. I appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. All right, folks, we're going to take a little break. This is FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Folks, welcome back. You're listening to Gun Sports Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Okay. Hey, oh my, you are going to be in heaven. Have you been to A.O. Sword Firearms in El Cajon? They've got the widest selection of guns in San Diego County, with over 600 unique guns in stock, including hundreds of used guns if you're not interested in a new one. Go see their full service. Experience the gunsmith with an old-school lathe and mill machine shop. They can do everything from mild repairs to full custom firearms and everything in between. A.O. Sword Firearms Store, located at 929 East Main Street in the city of El Cajon. Go to their website, www.aosword.com, or you can call them at 619-749-4867. Build, buy, or repair. A.O. Sword is your go-to place for all things firearms. That's www.aosword.com. Again, 619-749-4867. Hey, are you looking for an expert class to take for your San Diego CCW? Maybe looking for an Arizona, Florida, or other multi-state CCW permit class? Then contact www.ccwusa.com. That's CCAUSA is a long-time local trained fire and small class sizes expert instruction to fit your schedule and your wallet. Check their California Concealed Weapons Permit page for complete details on how to apply and more information on your personalized good cause statement at www.ccwusa.com. That's ccwusa.com. Hey, who's our special guest, Mike?
Well, David Chong.
The
one and only from A.O. Sword. We were just bragging about what a great shop you have, David.
Well, thank you very much. How are you guys doing?
Doing just fine. How about you, buddy?
All right. Michael called me earlier in the week and said, "Hey, let's talk about you, where you've been and what you've done and how you got here." And I said, "Okay." And then I almost called him back and, "Michael, I hate talking about myself. Let's talk guns."
Well, you're new to our format, new sponsor to the show. Your last couple segments were fantastic, and you're doing such a good job. And I've had people, say, "Hey, yeah, and make good comments." And I thought, well, let's tell folks who you are and what you do and how you got there. So I thought it was a really good idea. Plus, you're a friend of mine, and I find you somewhat interesting. So I figured other people might. So.
Thanks. I guess I'll start at the beginning. Yeah. I actually came from an anti-gun household. My only exposure to guns in my parents' house was shooting .22s and pellet guns on the way to Eagle Scout. Other than that, it was a no-go. But I loved guns, loved the looks, the mechanical engineering of them, and the skills required. I used to play with these hyper-realistic cap guns back in the 80s when it was legal to have cap guns that looked cool and were made of real wood. I didn't get to work with real guns until I served. I was with the 152nd TAC Recon, doing security police. I'm kind of dating myself. We were the last unit to fly the Phantom. You guys remember that plane?
Yes. F4 Phantom, is that what we're talking about?
Yep. This was our bird was the RF-4C. Had a longer nose to put an equipment and package up there to do recon.
So what made you join the military?
As I was leaving school, Desert Shield was just kicking off, and then Desert Storm. 152nd was actually a Air National Guard unit, and seemed like a good way to check the box for military service for me, because I come from a military family, just not the. But anyway, my dad was anti-gun, so the tradition was there. My dad was a corpsman. My grandparents both served in World War II, but I just wanted to check the box and do my part. But then when we ended up getting deployed, because we were the last TAC Recon Squadron in the United States, so a National Guard unit actually deployed. And security police wasn't what I actually wanted to be doing if I was going to go somewhere. So I went to D.C. for a little while, got some retraining, and went to OSI, performing counter-terror and counter-intel ops.
Wow! Around
South and Central Americas and around the Pacific Rim.
What does that look like? What is OSI, and what exactly were you doing?
I don't like to talk too much about it, but that's the Office of Special Investigation for the Air Force, Region 6 and Region 7, doing... OSI is responsible for everything from the stuff that you kind of see on, like, the TV show Jag, that's to the Navy, all the way through force protection and threat detection, and that's really what we did. In that period of time, we were operating around the world with a lot of allied forces in be they counterinsurgency or insurgencies even, or allied powers, and we were having trouble with supposedly friendly units or supposedly friendly personnel coming in, infiltrating, and blowing our guys up. So we were responsible for finding out who that was, figuring out how to counter them before it happened, do something left of bang, and sometimes we called in direct action guys, sometimes we were the guys, and so that was really rewarding work. So
in the military, did that there are a lot of positions in the military where firearms are not in your job description, but when you were in the military, did that kick off an interest in firearms? I mean, you said you had a general interest when you were a kid, but then when you were in the military, did that feed that? Was that a part of your job?
Absolutely. That's really where my love of the science of applied violence took hold in my heart, that I wanted to be the best I could at utilizing this tool and understanding it For 6 more years after I got out, I was an instructor teaching CQC, MOUT, Unified Command for ICS, and then counterterrorism on the Central Coast for the DHS.
So you were a contractor, like you were a civilian teaching military, or?
Yes, yeah, it was government service.
Wow. So what got you into, because you're also one of the few in San Diego County that I know of that is there's all kinds of different levels. There are armorers and, people that just, assemblers and that sort of thing. But you're a gunsmith. You're a stuff gunsmith. Like you can, build it from the ground up and modify it. And basically, if anything that needs to be done to a firearm, you can do it right there in your shop. How did you get that level of training?
I went to school at the Sierra Nevada High Desert Institute. It's right by the Reno Stead Airport, where they have a great air race. I don't know if you've ever seen that, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reno air races, good
stuff,
man. Anyway, that's how I learned the ins and outs of all manners of guns. Some of my first exposure to, especially the old-time stuff on the civilian side. Learned to be a machine operator on a lathe and a mill. Learned coding and bluing. And then they send you out as a gunsmith's apprentice. Then you got to go learn the rest. And I did that off and on for years while I was doing other stuff. One of the reasons it's hard to talk about where I've been is I've done a lot of other stuff. During that time, I was writing books. I was actually a big shot author for a little while for Random House and Pearson Education.
Oh, wow.
I wrote
what kind of books?
Mostly flight simulation and reality-based military titles. You ever heard of Microsoft Flight Simulator?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wrote the books for the Close Combat series. These weren't like the instruction manuals. These are books you could buy besides the game to get really good at complicated games.
That's interesting. I heard a story years ago about how the Navy got a guy in their aviation program who was a superstar, and they pulled him aside and said, "All right, why are you so good?" And he said he had spent all this time on the Microsoft Flight Simulator.
That's it.
So,
yep.
So I guess the Navy actually invested in that and said, "Wow, this thing's doing a really good job." So, all right. So you went through the military. You were a trainer. You started. Were you you got into gunsmithing? Were you always a do-it-yourself guy? Are you the kind of guy that can fix things
anything mechanical? I built and raced my own race cars. I was a season champion in senior stock sports cars. Anything. It's not just mechanical either. I love people. I love figuring out how things work, whether they're engines or hearts or. So
where'd you race?
Whatever. Diamond State Raceway, Silver State Raceway in Carson City.
Yeah.
Around Southern California. I did go-karts at Qualcomm for a couple seasons.
Really? I used to support them all the time. I love karting. I think karting's the best.
And Dave, you and I first met when I was doing a promotion for my San Diego Grand Challenge racing series. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. No kidding.
Man. We had. You'll remember. That was my series.
Yeah.
We challenged teams to buy, build, and race and show race cars for $1,000. $1,000 was the max they could spend on them. So it was all sweat equity into those cars. Yeah. It was awesome. It was just a great time.
Yeah.
Thank you for supporting us back then.
Oh, if you ever decide to kick it up again, I'm here for you.
Right on.
So now you're in the racing world. You're an author. You were a trainer. You were learning how to be a gunsmith. What led to opening AO Sword?
It's kind of a circuitous route. After I got out, I got to tell you, I was stuck for a time. I went from feeling like a very important person on a very important team with a very important mission to just being some dude who used to work somewhere. I wasn't sure what to do next for a time. That was actually a dark period for me. But coming out on the other side of it, I have a great empathy for servicemen and women who struggle after separation. faith and the needs of my family brought me out of my tailspin, and I humbled myself, and I said, you know what, it doesn't matter what I used to do. I'm willing to hang drywall if I have to feed my family, and that literally going out and saying, hey, I just need a job, randomly put me, or I believe not randomly, but put me in contact with folks who said, what are you doing? You need to be working in management. And I got hired as a manager in a area manager in a surface mining company. Worked 6 years doing great things and having a really good time in that building materials industry. Yeah. But the 2007 Great Recession gutted our company. It eliminated my position. So I was back in the hole. I was like, well, I don't know what to do now. But I wasn't having a crisis of conscience anymore, or struggle with identity. And so while I waited for the next management position to come up, I just started gunsmithing from my home.
You said, heck, let's open up a gun shop.
Funny how things come together.
It was supposed to be just hey, I'll just do this to not be bored while I figure out what's next. But
well, you've opened up a hell of a great shop.
Absolutely.
You guys have expanded a couple of times just since you've been there. It's a great location, great customer service. You guys do a fantastic job. And I got to tell you, David, when I heard that you were going to have a segment on the show, I was very excited. I think you're adding a lot to Gun Sports Radio, and I can't tell you how happy I am to have you as a member of San Diego County Gun Owners, as a friend. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that very much.
All right, buddy. Hey, you have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. We can't wait.
Thank you, gents. Take care.
All right, let's take a quick break. You're listening to FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
All right, folks, welcome back to listen to Gun Sports Radio. FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Hey, for those of us in California, lawful AR ownership is increasingly under attack. California's assault weapon laws make it impossible to legally keep your AR rifle with all its features it was born with. What's the solution? It's Cali Key. Cali Key removes your rifle from that definition of an assault weapon by converting any mil-spec direct impingement AR platform rifle into a straight pull bolt-action rifle. It's a true drop-in solution in less than a couple of minutes. You are good to go. No milling, no aesthetic modifications, and no turning off your gas systems either. Keep your entire AR collection intact at a price you can afford with Cali Key. We love those guys. Check out Cali Key at www.calikey.com, KALIKEY.com. Hey, U.S. Law Shield. Hey, at any given moment, situations of self-defense and emergencies can happen to anyone. And unfortunately, the justice system may not be on your side. While you protect your family and property, U.S. Law Shield is here to defend your 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year with the most comprehensive self-defense coverage at an affordable price. Bad guys don't take days off, and neither does our coverage. What's your plan after you defend yourself or your family? Consider a plan from U.S. Law Shield. Check them out today at www.uslawshield.com. That's www.uslawshield.com or www.lawshield.com. And are you thinking about doing an add-on to your home and you're looking for a good, honest, upfront mortgage company? Well, let me tell you what. PRMI Mortgage is where you need to be. That's PRIMERES, primeres.com/alpine.com. If you're looking to buy a house or condo, refinance your existing property, or consider a reverse mortgage to stay in your home, then call our local mortgage guy that you can trust. Call Chris Wiley. He is the best at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all of their mortgage needs. Buy, refi, reverse. Call or contact Chris Wiley at 619-722-1303. That's 619-722-1303 at primeres.com/alpine.com. All right, guess who we have on, folks? I know you've been waiting. We purposely put him at the tail end of the second hour, and that's Sam the Gunman.
Sam the Gunman, you there, man?
Yeah, how are you guys?
Good, how are you?
I couldn't be better.
Excellent.
Love it.
Excellent article you did. Excellent write-up you did on the to accompany your interview a couple weeks ago on the Second Amendment rally in Washington.
Where can you find that?
Go to San Diego County gunowners.com/blog.
Uh-oh.
And
Joe's got competition.
No, well, yeah.
You're working on my retirement.
Yeah, you should be.
San
I'm
Diego
coming for
County
your job.
No, he's training his own assassin. Sorry.
Oh, you did a great job, Sam. I really enjoyed it, and I think you did a really good write-up.
Thanks.
All right, so Sam the Gunman, every week we have him on, and we do a segment called Stump My Nephew, because Sam is not just Sam the Gunman, but he's also Sam, my nephew. Lives in Virginia, works at a gun shop, is going to school, and is, what are you, 20 now?
I guess so.
20 years old, but how many, what's your record so far?
I stopped counting a long time ago.
Yeah, it's like 50-3 or something like that, right?
Better than 95%, I would say.
Better than 95%. So we ask, so if you write in and ask us to ask him a question and we use your question, you get a T-shirt. If you stump my nephew, you get a hat along with your T-shirt. Yeah, stylish. So
that's our audience.
Joanne I actually have a couple questions. Let's see how many we get through.
Hey! Don't be beating up on the kid.
No, we're
lightning round.
Yeah, we're gonna rough him up a little bit.
Yeah.
Joanne from Oceanside wrote in. She wants to know what firearm is the most widespread, most manufactured firearm on the planet ever.
That's a really interesting question, and the first answer a lot of people would say would be the AK-47 and variants, with, I believe, something like 75 million produced. But as far as I know, it's actually the Mauser pattern of bolt-action rifles with more than 100 million produced on 6 continents and over the course of more than a century. Even your Remington 700 that you use for whatever you use a Remington 700 for, hunting, target shooting, whatever else.
Can opener.
Mentally a Mauser action.
Wow, I got to tell you, she said the answer she provided was AK-47, but it sounds like you know even more than she does. Sounds like you know the answer that she didn't. So
then some.
And then some. So I'd say not only did you get it right, but you got it more than right.
No, the AK has not yet eclipsed the Mauser. Not yet.
Working on it.
All right, excellent job. I got another one for you. Most successful .22 caliber pistol.
Most successful .22 caliber pistol. That's a tricky one. I would be inclined to say the Ruger Standard, but it might be the Browning Buckmark. You'll have to. I'm going to say Ruger Standard.
Ruger Standard it is. You're absolutely right. Most successful, produced from 1949 until 1981, the Ruger Standard was the first commercially successful handgun produced by a guy named Bill Ruger. Designed for recreational shooting, it went on to become the most successful .22 pistol in history. So that's the Mark I. They're up to
it built his company, and right now they're on the Mark IV and still going strong.
Yeah. They even have I think the Mark IV even has a version that has the same grip as a 1911, so you can use it to practice.
Yep, can even get integrally suppressed ones. Well, you can't get integrally suppressed ones, but people in other states can.
Oh, be nice.
Even with your governor?
Oh yeah, you may not. Hey.
Come January, but I'm not old enough to get a can anyway.
All right, I got another one for you. This is on a roll. We got time for another one. Do we?
Sure, we got time for another one.
Okay.
3 is the charm.
Okay. She also asks the best-selling shotgun in history. The best-selling shotgun in history.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. Best-selling shotgun in history. I think this is going to be the one that gets me. I would want to say Winchester Model 12, Model 1200, Model 1300, that series, but it might be the Remington 870. I'm really not sure. I'm going to go with the Winchester 12 series.
You're going to go with which one?
Winchester Model 12, Model 1200, that series.
Well, your uncle uses his grandfather. I haven't even done yet. Your uncle uses a 1200, a Winchester 1200, which is going to become yours because it's actually your grandfather's, my dad's. But unfortunately, you were wrong. You should have gone with your other.
Should have went with that second.
Should have gone with the second one. It's actually an Remington 870. You're absolutely right. Over 10 million have been produced since it was introduced in 1951.
But he did mention it.
He did mention it.
He did mention it.
How many people would have
Come on.
I'd give it to him.
Yeah.
How many at this table knew all the answer without reading it?
And speaking of Ruger, don't you have a Ruger 22?
I surely do. 1022.
Nice rifle.
Got my magazines, got my scope. I'm good.
It's another successful.
Is it a scope or a red
firearm.
dot?
Red dot.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
Optic.
Optic.
Just call it an optic. You never go wrong.
Great job, Sam.
Still looking for a gopher.
Yeah. How are sales? How are sales at the gun shop, Sam?
They've sort of trailed off a little bit, but we just got in like 3 pickup truck loads worth of stuff that we just finished putting out on the shelves. I want to say about a third of it was just magazines because people are really starting to freak out about kind of laws are going to get proposed come January.
Time to buy.
Yeah, time to buy. Time to buy. All right, buddy. Hey, thanks a million. You're always the best, folks. That's Stump My Nephew, Sam the Gunman.
Love that segment.
I do too. Hey, by the way, folks, before we go, we really, really want to thank you, the listener. We really want to thank our sponsors as well. Firearms Legal Protection, San Diego County Gun Owners. Come on, folks, $10 a month. You can do it. TDT Construction. Boy, if you're looking for construction, you need to go to TDT Construction. You want to get a CCW? Go to CCW USA. Want to be protected? U.S. Law Shield. You want to upgrade your AR and make it California legal? Cali Key. You want to do a little refi? PRMI Mortgage. Need a lawyer, especially for guns? Gatsky, Dillon, and Balance, LLP. A little bit nervous, don't like crowds? John Groff, CCW Training, one-on-one. The Gun Range San Diego, the best gun range in San Diego. A.O. Sword Firearms Store, best gun store, best gunsmith. You can't ask for anything better than that. I can't thank Lance Pelkey, Michael Schwartz, Joe Drammissi, and Brendan Thomas for helping us put this show on the map. How many years we've been doing this now?
It's been 100 and look at it on the front there, 172 shows.
2 hours in a 2-hour format. I'm digging this new 2-hour format.
I know. Next thing you know, you're going to want 3.
We got amazing listeners.
I already have ideas for a third.
Yeah, I had a funny feeling you did, but we'll work on it. All right, folks, we want to thank you all, and you can go to www.gunsportsradio.com, listen to all the podcasts. And anytime you have a question, go to that website, write us a little note. And don't forget, you can always try to get Stump My Nephew at San Diego County Gun Owners.com. Right here on FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network.